Welcome to the Box Angeles podcast with me. I'm your host, Mike Elder. It's nice to see you. Thank you for listening. We've got a really good episode, but first, a little housekeeping real quick. Go to my YouTube channel, boxangeles.com/YouTube. Subscribe there. It's a library of content, clips, full videos. All of it is up there. You don't want to miss that, and I want your subscription. Tell me what to do to get your subscription. Also, check out the Patreon if you just want to support the show. I do give updates on upcoming guests before anyone knows who's coming on. You get to know it if you're a Patreon subscriber. You also get access to all the audio for previous episodes, including the one of my guest this week's first episode is on the Patreon. So feel free to subscribe there and support the show with your donations. It means a lot to me. Who do we got on the podcast this week? It's a really fun conversation. It's my old pal, acting teacher John Rosenfeld. John, you will recognize some shows like NCIS, Prison Break, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, but now he's a teacher and a coach. Go to johnrosenfeld.com if you want to look into his classes. I used to take his classes before the pandemic. I took them for a really long time. I got a lot out of them. John is a fantastic teacher. He's very nuanced. He recognizes things in his students that I think a lot of teachers don't pick up on. He's very good at picking out subtleties like that. He does a little of that in this episode, in this conversation. So I think you'll catch up on that. But I couldn't recommend his classes enough. I've interviewed a number of his teachers like Patrick Kavanaugh and Stephanie Black. So those episodes are in the back catalog too. But it's a really good really good class with a really good system of teachers, and I think John does a phenomenal job over there. But this conversation, back to this conversation, this is his second interview on the podcast. His first one, number 246, I didn't do the interview. Our friend Brandon Sornberger did a guest interview, which was really fun. So it was good for me to get to talk to John. I hadn't seen him in a few years. It was great to catch up. He's doing well. I love seeing him, and it makes me want to go back to class, if I'm being honest with you. I feel like a student that's been skipping out. Anyway, it's a fun conversation. I love my chat with John, and I think you will too. So, without further ado, I give you...
I'm John Rosenfeld.
Hi, John.
Hi.
It's so good to see you.
You too.
You seem in like really good spirits right now.
I am. Sleep deprivation? I don't know.
Sure.
That could be.
You look great too.
Well, thank you. You do too.
Yeah, you're saying I look the same. You look younger somehow.
Do I really?
Yeah.
I don't know why. Are you okay?
It must be the young.
I'm sure great. You're seeing the right thing.
It must be those young kids you're chasing around. You have two now or one?
I have
still?
one.
Oh.
I have one.
But
you know what? It's also being bald. You know, it really. I think it's consistent.
Yes, I agree.
You know, it's just consistent. So
I agree.
You age a little less aggressively.
I don't disagree. I wrote that down as a question to ask you. When did you embrace going bald? As a bald brother, I'm curious.
Oh, I fought for it, man. I fought for the hair. I fought for it so hard. You know, I was really, my father had a very weird relationship with hair that I watched. He would do a comb over, kind of like, almost like a Donald Trumpian.
Oh, sure.
I mean, you never saw him without the hair, but it took so much. There was twirling going on.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of hairspray to hold it together. That's not a great thing to teach your children. You know, you're watching it, and you weren't able to talk. You never could talk to him about it. So for me, I used Propecia. Is that
you did?
Oh, I used Propecia.
Were you worried about your libido with that? I've heard like 1 in 10 have bad libido on that. So then I was always scared to even try it.
I think I really would like you to ask like 1,000 men and do a poll that if they could have a libido or their hair, what would they keep?
Oh, interesting. I assume that the libido is more important, but interesting. To me, it seems obvious, but I bet a lot of people
I think you should do a poll. That's a really interesting study.
That is an interesting study.
Well, I didn't even know that was a thing, so I just did because I wanted to keep my hair, and I also went to some doctor for injections into my scalp.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and Rogan. I did the whole thing, and I was able to keep it for a while.
You were really trying to hold on.
Woo! And then I'd heard that when my wife and I were trying to have Charlie, I had heard some things that Propecia could actually endanger your child.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I don't know. He was explaining he said it was like a very small percentage, like less than half of whatever 1%. Your son could be born. Again, I'm not a doctor. I might be getting this wrong, so someone might be listening, going, "John, you have no idea what you're fucking talking about." But it could be like a fissure in the pinky, or it could be like something on his penis.
Oh, gosh.
And I'm like, I'm not going to let my hair be more important than my child's health. And then I stopped taking it. It felt good.
Oh.
And then slowly but surely, it just started thinning out even more.
Yeah.
And then finally, at the age...
But the Propecia was working.
It worked. It keeps it.
I have a buddy that did it, and it looks great for him.
Yeah, but I was never willing to have like... Oh, God, I had such a fraught relationship. But anyway, at the age of 44, I finally...
Oh, wow. It was that late.
Yeah.
I don't even think of you as that old, to be honest. That's so funny.
Yeah. Well, we talked about that. Because I'm buff. Yeah. That's why.
I don't know if you know this. I did a Dollar Shave Club commercial where I had to shave my head in the commercial. And literally the camera guy was like, oh, you look way better. And that was what broke it for me.
Really?
It was like everyone was like, you look way better with your head shaved. And I was like, okay, this is me now.
And did you feel good about it? I mean, like, were you scared?
I wasn't attached to my hair. I wasn't scared, but it was something I was definitely hanging on to a little bit, like you were. I mean, it does feel like a moment.
It was my own prejudice against being bald, and it's funny because I would never. I think sometimes I would look at people who are prematurely balding and think, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like see that some people didn't like it. You know, I mean, we are living at such a different age. Thank you, Michael Jordan. Thank you. So
Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Yeah, thank you so many
Jason
people
Statham.
who made it so normal.
Bruce Willis, yeah.
Bruce Willis, all those guys really, I don't know, normalized it.
Yeah, because you think of it as like a frumpy man type, like an overweight guy who's kind of like schlubby.
Yeah,
but now it's much more.
I mean, like, look, George from Seinfeld.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? That in TV, you'd always cast the guy who was a little bit of a loser as the bald guy.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? The
100%.
guy who, I mean, all through television.
100%.
70, like the Love Boat. If you're on the Love Boat and you're bald, that's the guy who's like needs to find a woman. And it's always the guy with the full head of hair.
Exactly.
So archetypally, but it's different now.
Yeah. And now us cool kids do it.
Yeah, I never thought we'd be talking about my bald head.
Really?
The first one of your podcast.
Well, the first thing.
Thank you for that.
The first thing I was going to mention is I feel like I'm a bad student that is now seeing a disappointed teacher for the first time because I used to take your classes.
Yeah, you
I took it for about 2 years, I think, and then I stepped away for a bit. And this is the first time I'm seeing you since then. So it's good to see you, but I do feel like I've disappointed you.
Oh.
Do you have go ahead.
What year was that? What was the last year?
I think 2019. It was like summer 2019. I think I stepped away.
So right before the pandemic.
Yeah, weirdly, or somewhere around there.
No, the interesting thing, I never get disappointed. I think what I am always thinking is like, did you disappoint you? You know what I mean? At the end of the day, what is an actor? Where's they trying to get?
Yeah.
And did they actually give themselves a real opportunity to get there?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I always got the sense that you were kind of adrift in that part of the adrift, meaning that's just like you had things you wanted to do.
Yeah.
That just wasn't one of them.
Yeah.
It wasn't as dedicated. Like you were doing your podcast. You were commercially. There were things that you were focused on.
Yeah.
That wasn't one of like the. This is something I'm trying to fully, focus on. And by the way, of all the times not to focus on it, you chose a really good time.
I will say this: you are just that little thing you just picked up. Like you are kind of like a autistic savant, maybe a little bit. I don't know if you're autistic or not. That was a weird word choice. I apologize, but you pick up on
some might be offended.
You pick up on so much nuance in class that I would never notice. A lot of people wouldn't notice, but I think you are very perceptive at people where they're at, meeting them where they're at, finding out that little things that make them tick. I find that fascinating. It's not a skill I have.
I think it's a skill set that you are born with I mean, it's inherited. My mom's a therapist, you know. My stepfather's a therapist, which just reinforces all that you're exposed to. And it was a lot of talking and watching and looking. My sister, who's a doctor, has this uncanny ability to read a room and where people are at. And I think, and my brother does not.
Sure.
Not at all.
But at least he knows that.
Oh, he does. He does. He's very aware. He's a scientist.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
You're the black sheep in your family, the creative one.
I guess so.
Everyone else is doing data-driven research, and you're.
Yeah.
Breaking down whether or not Mike wants to be in class or not.
No, we are. No, but I think, look, no matter what, like, well, let me ask you about class. Like, were you like looking forward to go, or did it feel like an obligation in order to be an actor?
A little of both. I did really like the work you made us do. Like, I enjoy homework for class because it reinforces my confidence that I can do this and like get prepared and get off book and study and stuff. But there is always a little bit of a dread in a class like that.
Yeah, and been going to a classroom for close to 30 some consecutive years. I look forward to the engagement.
I love that.
And that's ultimately what you always want is. And by the way, sometimes, God, I'm like, I want to stay home.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Just like anything. But then I get there, and there's always usually a great. Something will happen that's really rewarding or edifying, and being like, this is why you do it. Just watching a light bulb go off.
Yeah, and that's just it. It forces your hand to work and do what you need to do, and I think that's the beauty of a class, no doubt.
It's just amazing the connection. I have a podcast.
I know.
And I had Guy Branum on.
Okay.
I don't know if you know Guy, but he's wonderful. But then it's funny because he was in class during the pandemic, and then I remember asking him, like, who referred you to me in the first place? And then he goes, Ali Wong. And then the funny thing is, Ali Wong was a client, but like, God, that was 8 years ago. So it's just amazing when you start to think about all the little people you get to interact with.
Oh, yeah.
And those are two extraordinary people. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It just is that Kevin Bacon 6 degrees where you just, it's really, if you stick around long enough, you get to have a lot of lovely moments.
How often do you get people that, like, I assume you get a lot of people that take your workshop, the first workshop, and then fall off, but I assume that you have a lot of people that take the class and then maybe step away for a while and come back. Is that true?
Sure.
Like, it's like, a kid graduating high school and then leaving the nest and then coming back home when they, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Listen, every version of it happens. It all depends, we're living at a really interesting stage right now. Now it's really, I don't know I'm sure you've talked to other teachers, people about this, but it's every actor has a very interesting relationship with acting right now.
Yeah.
The other day, a woman was in class, a longtime client who goes every week, and she's so freaking good and so freaking talented. But she was saying in class, she's like, I don't know why, but I feel small right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, that's the kind of conversation you want to have in class. It's just like, let's talk about it. And I addressed it. I was like, I think there are a lot of people who are feeling a little smaller these days with the industry being slower. But then she texted me the other day that she's on hold for, up for this lead and like the top pilot going on right now.
Oh, wow.
And I just wrote her back, are you feeling a little bigger today? And she said, yes. Doesn't mean she's going to get it, but I think she's feeling small, but she's feeling a little bit invisible.
Yes.
And just to be recognized.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's all we want. But at the same time, we gotta. Do you want to tell somebody like that? Don't tie your happiness to this stupid business because the up and down.
She doesn't. I think that's why it was such an event.
Got it.
That she felt that way. We always say that if your self-worth can't be determined.
No.
But when you are an adult and you are working that day job. You know what I mean? And obviously we're living in a day and age where it's a lot more challenging to not be a hyphenate.
Yep.
Whether the day job be, even if it's voiceover or commercials or, in the industry or whatever. Occasionally it's like you start to feel like, God, it'd be really nice. I'm really good at what I do. It'd be really good if I could just like do that all day.
Yes.
So I don't think it's just about the money or the time. It's like doing the thing you love.
Right.
Someone said something, about acting. It was a great quote that I thought was, I may fuck it up, but.
Oh, I thought that was a quote.
No. Doing, when the thing you love is on an unpredictable schedule, it often feels like hate. And I think that sometimes it's It's like when your your best friend is never available to you.
Yeah.
Or the woman or man you're in love with. It's like, why the fuck aren't you here? Yeah. Like I miss you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that can sometimes be the truth for acting.
Yeah. It's also the truth for my golf swing.
It's
never there when I need it.
Is your self-worth determined by your golf swing?
My handicap? Yeah, a little bit.
Oh, wow.
I've talked about this a lot. I just interviewed my favorite yoga teacher. I've found the best way to like disassociate from acting that's so out of your control is do things that are in your control. Yoga, it's like you have to be present. It's in your control. Golf, it's 100% in your control. You can't dwell on the last swing. The next swing's the one that matters. So I find I gravitate towards stuff like that to get away from like.
Do you have anxiety?
About what?
Do you ever have flares of anxiety? Like,
yeah, it's usually work related, but yeah.
Is it work?
Day job.
What's that?
My day job related.
Which is what?
I work for a tech startup. I do operations.
Do you really?
Yeah, I've worked there for like 9 years.
So you're on the clock right now?
No, what are you talking about? This is Saturday.
No, that's interesting. That which you can control. I get that.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's just like
to me, that's cleaning.
Yes.
To me, that's organization.
Sure, anything like that. Yeah,
I did that with my office desk the other day.
Yes.
I was like, what is happening? And I took out the Clorox, the thing. Yeah.
Love that. You strike me as a messy desk guy, though.
I am.
Yeah.
No, not really. As my wife frustratingly said to me, she's like, I know you'll clean by the end of the day. I'm the tornado, then clean it up.
Yeah, that's
tornado, clean it
You're
up.
like
I'll
a little
never
kid with
leave
Legos.
It. What's that?
You're like a little kid with Legos.
100%. Clean it up by the end of the day.
Yeah, when you're told to.
Clean it up.
Wait, sidebar. This is a stupid question, and I apologize. Did you drive here?
Yeah.
Picturing you driving is interesting to me. I picture you as like sort of an aristocrat that has a driver and you're in the back just like with a notepad or something. Like, I don't picture you as a driver, John.
What are you projecting onto me? An aristocrat. I love it.
That's just what I get. You're in the back of like a nice Mercedes Benz with your legs crossed and a notepad. That's what I picture.
No.
Pull over here, Wyatt.
I hope it's legal where I parked. I parked right here on Franklin.
You're fine.
No. I was just trying to freaking get the Apple CarPlay to work.
Well, that's funny. While we talk about you as being an everyman, a driver, you mentioned before this sports, and I never would have thought of you as a sports guy. That's so funny to me. I'm learning so much.
Yeah. No, I was an athlete.
Oh, yeah, you played baseball.
That's right.
To be clear, John, you did the podcast a long time ago, but I didn't interview you.
No, Brandon.
Brandon Sornberger interviewed you as a guest host. So
I love Brandon.
So we all love Brandon.
He's a hard person not to love.
All we want back from Brandon is love, though. He's the one we want, his love, but we can't get it.
Or just a text back.
Yeah. That's so funny. God damn it, Brandon.
Yeah, but he's the one person like text him. He might text you back a month later.
Yeah, if you're lucky.
You'll get it back.
Wait, back to class.
No, sports.
Sports.
I love. It's fun when you get older. I can't sit and watch a baseball game though for a bunch of time.
Brutal.
I can't. But even NBA. I like the NBA, but I can't. It's hard for me to sit. I will read about it. I'll watch highlights.
Yeah.
I'll do that. My investment. Now I've done football. I have a very guilty relationship with. Like I'll watch Super Bowl, but I watch it. I'm like, all these people are getting so injured.
Yeah, they're killing their brains.
They're killing their brains. And my grandfather was a surgeon for the Raiders, and I heard horrible stories about that. I mean, he'd put people in the game where he knew they had a broken shoulder.
Oh.
I mean, we're talking switched x-rays.
Would you let Charlie play football if they want to play football?
I mean, I'll let him do anything, but I would give him a lot of data and tell him it's the dumbest thing that you could do.
Yeah. If I ever had kids, I don't think I'd let him play football.
Flag football, yes.
Sure.
He played flag football.
Yeah, that's
but
totally fine.
That's more than okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, he has no intention. But I you know what I like about sport? There is that is where I get to be competitive.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And I like the feeling of that competition. I may seem like a pacifist as a human, but I am competitive. Not about acting ever, but just about in sports. It's a part of me that's fun to activate that side of myself.
Yeah, it probably is like a relief for you too, because if you watch like a drama or something, you probably feel like you're doing homework for class or for your students or whatever. Is there an aspect of watching TV to that?
That feels like homework?
Yeah.
Only if it's bad.
Speak on that. Because you feel like you want to help them?
No, if it's bad, it's like, let's say, for example, someone's like, you should watch this. Like if I have to watch a show to help, like to coach somebody on it or something like that. And I'm like, this is awful. This is dreadful. And now I've got to find a way to fall in love with it to help them.
I see.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was like, oh boy. But no, watching dramas never feels like homework unless I don't like it. You know?
Yeah, that makes total sense.
Yeah, I can like a lot of stuff, but sometimes you're like, whew.
Do you write off? Wait, I have like the acting tax lady. Do you write off your Netflix and all those subscriptions as research?
I don't think we need to discuss my tax. I don't even know, but I don't feel comfortable talking about how I'm writing off my taxes.
That's so funny.
I'm a corporation, you know?
Oh, yeah, as you should be.
Yeah, I don't know quite what it is.
They do their thing and you do your thing.
Yeah, let's go.
Wait, back to class.
Yeah,
I do have
please.
a beef with you, though, because I do want to take more of your classes, and I've emailed your people multiple times.
Oh.
What I really want, and I wonder how much you hear this, is like, as much as I love what you do in your class, I need audition classes. I audition more than I'm on set. I audition a lot. And I want an audition class. Your only audition classes during the day, so I can't take it. So since I've left your class, I've taken a bunch of audition classes like Annie Grindley. I took Robert Diavanzo recently. So that's kind of what I've been gravitating towards. Do you find that that is becoming more of a thing, especially in the world of self-tapes, or?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I could add. I mean, we do auditions first week of every class,
Right.
And we've changed it to where now we do it a couple of different ways. And I've actually been doing it more than once a week.
Oh, cool.
Sometimes I'm putting you in front. Like, not only I'm asking you to pre-tape, we watch your pre-tape.
Oh, I love
give
that.
you notes on your pre-tape.
Didn't know that.
Then we put you in front of the camera, and then we work it, and then I say, "You see, you know, often or brilliant, whatever." I just think we're living in a world where, and no offense to you, but a lot of people are wanting to do audition class because they're trying to book a job,
Right.
But they're not trying to become better actors, and it's very result oriented.
Yes.
And they're just trying to get it right, and they feel accomplished, but they're not actually doing really great work.
Sure.
They're just feeling like they're doing something because, hey, I'm getting audition ready. So you're not really preparing to be on set for a theatrical audition. But you are ready to do a self tape. So I'm trying to get actors really fucking good, and then. Like, so many times I watch, like, but I just want to know I'm in front of the camera. Then freaking put yourself in the front of the camera every single day. You become a student. You're putting too much. You're giving so much power to that teacher to go, yes, Mike. Yes, Mike. You can self-teach, self-tape.
Right.
If you actually do it every freaking day, going to class once a week, getting yes, no, it's such a slow amount of information being absorbed into your head and still not even giving you enough agency or making you feel like you actually are the answer if you start playing with things.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a lot to take in. I don't disagree.
Yeah.
It is sort of a chicken or an egg, though, right? Like, you can be an amazing actor, but if you never book anything, what's the point of that? But at the same time, if you take all these audition classes and then you book in a bunch of auditions and suck, then you're going to quickly not be booked anymore. So it feels sort of chicken and an egg. And I like the idea that you're doing more of the auditions in your class now.
I don't disagree. I mean, listen, I think there's a guy we have at my studio who he's an actor, he's a teacher, John Beavers, who I just love so very much. And Britt Rentschler, who I love so
Let me get those names off the floor for you.
No, but John is right now he's like part of that Kevin Costner thing, Horizon. He's just did this new series with he's on a series with Shirley K. Brown, and he's really been doing quite well.
Awesome.
But his self tapes are so effing good.
Yeah.
So effing good. But here's the difference. His acting is very realized. But he talks about acting like a 40-hour-a-week job. So when he gets an audition, he's spending a full workday on it.
Yeah.
He's crafting it. He's thinking about the angle. He's really thinking about how to use the camera. And I think that's the thing that really is, Sure, it can be taught, but can it be learned? You know what I mean? I can teach it, but you've got to experience it and experience it regularly, because it is doing two things. If you think about it, there's a technical aspect and an organic. The organic aspect is embodying the character fully. You know what I mean? Embodying that story. The technical is really knowing how would they be shooting it on set.
Right.
Not a self-tape. Too often I'm watching people do self-tapes and it looks like they're doing a self-tape. It doesn't look like they're in a scene. I want to feel like I'm actually on that set. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And people don't do that enough. I watch them square off to the camera and be like, it's like they're auditioning in front of a room full of producers in person, which is a completely different thing.
Right.
You're in front of a camera. So when you're getting ready for that, don't think I'm getting ready for a self-tape. Think I'm getting ready to actually go to set that day. And I'm going to set that day. Where is everybody? What would the angle be? What's the feeling they're trying to do? Is that a tight close-up, or is that mid? Are we going to be doing, would it be part of like a two-shot? You know what I mean? So going a step further, and the more you are practicing those technical concentrations, eventually you don't even have to think about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like someone who's been in front of a camera for, like on soap opera, some of those people have been in camera for like 50 years.
Right. So
they're very aware of exactly when the camera's zooming in.
Right.
They know how to hold, but they don't even have to think about it because it's so practiced.
Yeah. Well, see, that's what I want to learn. Robert Giovanzo did a little bit of it in his class, and it was like a taste, and it was really good. Something I coach with your tree, Bethany, occasionally from now and then.
Yeah.
What's her last name? Goober. You know, let's call her Goober.
She's one of my favorite people in the world.
And she left
And I
this
just
town.
will call her Bethany. I would have said Jeber, Jaber, Gaber, Geber.
Goober. She did a self-tape with me once, probably 6 months ago or 9 months ago. And it was like I was sort of a menacing character. And she was just like, lean in and like mimic the camera. And it looked so good.
Yeah.
And see, like, that's where I want somebody to teach me, and I want to learn that stuff, because when I get a self-tape, I'm just like, I have general ideas, but I'm an actor. I like direction, and so that's kind of where my head's at.
Just try something once. Put yourself on tape 5 times a week with 5 different pieces of material for 1 month.
Yeah.
And then bring me back for 4 minutes and we'll do this as an addendum. And like, no, seriously, just do it. But do it with someone.
Yeah.
Study it. What can we shoot differently? How can we? Because you are telling a visual story.
Right.
You know what I mean? I just think too often we're wanting. I think that's what it's like. Look, one thing I always say is like, don't read an acting book until you're already a great actor.
Sure.
Because I don't think anyone understands it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And as far as self-tapes go, you become a great actor, self-tapes become a lot easier.
Yeah.
Because so many things are informing your relationship to the camera, but the environment, you're so clear. And that begins to inform how much intimacy you have in a scene, how much closer when you lean in. You know, the one thing I think actors don't use enough is they don't play with the depth of field.
I agree.
And it's astounding. They're like, it just becomes very 2-dimensional.
I agree.
I'm like, let's do everything we can to make it 3-dimensional.
Yeah. I actually just reminded me, I also took a William O'Leary class. I think you know Billy.
I have not seen him in 15 years.
I took that right around after I left your class, and he worked on some of that too.
Isn't he online now? Is he still around?
I think he left LA COVID.
Oh, he did?
I think so. I think he went back to like the Pacific Northwest. But my point is, what you just said though, with like, put yourself on tape 5 times in a week. That's the class I want. I think that's a great class because I can do that, but then I'm just looking at it and like second guessing myself. I want feedback. I want to see how other people did it as well. You know what I mean? Like if there's a class of 10 people and they all put themselves on a tape and then we can see how everyone approached it. I think that's fascinating to see too, because then you can see what worked and what didn't.
All right, we'll work on this. Do you want it to be in person or on Zoom?
I hate Zoom.
Okay.
Let's do it do you have an opinion on Zoom classes?
What's that?
Do you have an opinion on Zoom classes? Like, to me, Zoom doesn't make any sense.
Well, I don't agree with that. I mean, no, look, I don't think anyone got into this business to be like,
Right.
you know what, one day I'll be sitting down in front of my Apple computer in front of a room full of producers and it's going to be great. I don't think anyone's...
I love that character.
I know. No, I can't wait to perform in front of millions of people. But very few people also came up. Sorry, am I allowed to shoot gum?
Yeah, you're fine.
Very few people actually come up and think, I'm going to do a podcast.
Yeah.
Things change. I mean, I literally had to move. We had the studio, my studio had its biggest year in 2019. Like it had
yeah.
It had just been boom, 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 boom. It was actually a little, I was overwhelmed by how big it was becoming. And actually, it was like, I kind of like secretly was like, I need to shrink. I didn't want it to shrink like it did in a day. No. But we transitioned 30 some classes overnight to Zoom. So, you know, I had to be grateful for the fact that I was able to keep it going.
Right.
And I had to find the value in it.
Yeah.
And I did think there was really great value to Zoom. A, staying connected, obviously.
For sure, yeah.
But one, it's a frame still. It is a camera. And makes you have to really do the homework.
Yeah.
Meaning I really have to know who I'm talking to. And it's harder to like listen, it's two-dimensional. You're not there. So I have to really decide how to feel off what you're giving me and then feel what to think, how to respond. And there's no energy. There's no vibration. I mean, it can't feel your breath.
Yeah.
So you really have to make choices about relationship. Right. And you have to use the camera and breathe and you can create your environment and everything's at your house. But you know, they say when an audition only, like if an in-person audition only use what's on your person, everything's on your person.
Yes.
You can use a dish, you can use the water bottle, you can have a shower cap and you're not going to look like an asshole. You know what I mean?
That's also something I do struggle with because I'm like, I could use... keys. I was a prison guard audition yesterday. I'm like, should I use actual keys? Like, I struggle with that too. Like, when I should use that or not.
Here's the one thing: you only look bad with props if your acting's bad.
Sure.
Like, if using the real stuff is not making it better, then something's wrong with the acting.
Yeah.
And it obviously should never distract.
Right.
Like the one thing I always said, I said to someone, it's like they were playing a cop, and I knew they had a gun. A real gun, and well, that's their career, and okay. I'm like, I'm gonna self-tape. I was like, do not use your real gun.
No.
They're like, no, I won't for the self-tape because I have guns in my with the orange tip, rubber thing. So I like that for a self-tape. It's suggestive.
Right.
When someone has a real gun, then all of a sudden the cast director's looking, like, is that a fucking real gun? The producer's like, that's just like, don't do that.
Yeah.
And you're pointing it at your reader.
Yeah. I just realized too, while you were talking about Zoom classes, I took Killian's class after you. I took a lot. I got out after we got out of our relationship. I slept around a little bit, but Killian's was all on Zoom, and that actually really worked for the commercial aspect because I did a lot of commercial auditions on Zoom. I've never done a theatrical on Zoom, but I have done a lot of commercial on Zoom. So that actually was pretty good to do that, work on that muscle.
Yeah, Killian's I mean, I don't know much about the commercial world.
Yeah.
He got rid of his space, didn't he?
I don't know.
I mean,
it seems like everyone did.
Did they?
Except for you, I guess.
No, I'm out. I moved spaces.
But you have a space.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's great. Now it's all under one roof. And
Where'd you move?
I'm enjoying it. I mean, still in that area. Yeah, I like it. But yeah, I think it reshaped a lot of it. But we still have Zoom classes. I don't teach. I do my consults over Zoom.
Okay.
That's a lot easier.
That's way easier.
You know what I mean? I
bet you get more people too because it's a big commitment to leave their house and go meet you, I think, if you're on that fence.
I get less cancellations at the last second.
Right, that's what I'm saying, yeah.
You know what I mean? Someone's going, sorry, I can't make it over to you. Yeah. And sometimes I'm like, you're canceling because of this. I'm like, just get on your phone. Like, that makes no sense. That's a weird excuse.
It is a weird excuse.
You know what I mean?
So let's do that. If you want me to coach that audition class where we do 5 self-tapes a week, I'll happily do it. Anyways, so
You want to coach it?
no, I'm just kidding.
No.
If that'll make you do it, I mean,
No, I mean, listen, it's a good idea. That's
Kavanaugh
5
in
days. Was that
get Kavanaugh in there. Patrick Kavanaugh doing it.
Patrick left to London?
What?
Yeah, he and his wife and their kids. They moved to London for at least 1 year.
Wow, good for him.
Family stuff. But I think he's just like, why not?
Yeah, good for him.
I know, right?
All right, well, that sucks. Do you think you talked about like how many people you've taught, which is phenomenal. You have a crazy tree of you texted me the other day when I was saying Eric Andre on the podcast needs more acting work, and you're like, I coached him. I'm like, that's hilarious.
That's not what I said. I go, he gets plenty of acting work. He's doing good.
But you have such a broad tree of actors. Do you ever think about the acting or the coaches? You have a decent coaching tree too. Bethany, Patrick, Brandon.
I'm confused by your question.
Have you ever thought about like how many people not only you've influenced, but the people that you've taken on as coaches have influenced? Like you have a very broad coaching tree. To put it into sports, think about all the coaches that coached for Bill Belichick and then went on to do other things. And Bill Belichick's coaching tree is very big.
Thank you.
I'm saying your coaching tree is probably pretty big too.
Yeah. No, I mean, listen, I love, at least the way I think of it, I'm trying to get every actor to be an expert in storytelling and themselves and really help them hone taste. Because I think it's so much just about taste. And it doesn't mean their taste should be the same as mine.
Right.
And it shouldn't, because I love, it's like how you could have two really good directors and one person, but they'd create totally two different movies with the same script. And I think of it as like my two of my teachers, Britt and Michael, they made a movie together. Michael wrote it, and Britt contributed, and they made a film that ended up winning South by Southwest.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And actually, a former JRSer, very brief time, actually directed it, but it was all JRSers.
John Rosenfeld Studios.
Oh, and then and watching Leah McKendrick make her film that like went in theaters, and it was so fucking good. And now she's making this other movie and writing, and the coaching tree. It's really just about. It's rewarding to watch people find their voice. And I love having, like initially them all starting off as TAs. And it's really fun to guide them and say, listen, this is how you approach that.
Yeah.
Maybe to kind of, to nurture it incrementally, because I think that is what helps their acting. And then eventually they watch them kind of parrot what I'm saying. And then eventually find their own words and their own view. Yeah. The one thing I always say to my teachers is, don't teach I go, initially you're going to copy me. And then what you're going to do is you're going to start to teach the class that you'd like to take, which probably will be different than the one you're teaching.
Yeah. They'll iterate, yeah.
They'll iterate. And then they start to find their own voice, their own concentration. They go, teach what's turning you on at the moment. Yeah. And when you watch them start to find their own path, it's really cool. And that's when I start learning from them.
I love that.
You know what I mean? Sometimes, Jesus Christ, Ryan Garcia is so brilliant. And Alex Jennings, I'll sometimes sit and hear them talk, and that's like, ooh, I needed to. John Beavers, God, so I'm listening to him. I'm like, you're teaching me, thank God.
Yeah, it's almost
or making me see it in a different way.
Sure. It's like parenting almost. Like you give the best information you can to your kids and then hope they learn from that and make the right choices and find their own voice after that.
Yeah. And then the kids start to teach you, Yeah. No, I think it's important. It is, it never stops.
That just made me think of something. So you've obviously coached so many people. You and maybe I'm overstepping my bounds here, but you implied in class once that you were coaching or tutor. What do you call it? Tutoring, coach. If you do individual classes, is that consulting, coaching? Anyways,
ask the question. Don't go against any NDA.
You implied that it was like an Oscar-winning actor, but you wouldn't say the name. How many people do you coach with that don't want to advertise that you're working with them? Is that a common thing?
Can I tell you what it is for me? I
still don't know who that was, by the way.
And I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not going to talk about it. No, but I will say this. I watch certain acting teachers talk about, well, I worked with this person and I did that. And I find it so, it just makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So, and the point of that is just to say that all of those actors, they're not better. They're just faster and more efficient.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And willing to work really fucking hard. It's like giving yourself a chance. Like, I think, look, I become a successful acting teacher by doing what? Showing up every day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And 90% is showing up every day without any expectation other than showing up. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I feel that typically those people who've arrived that way by showing up every day, they end up becoming just very solid at what they do.
I guess a follow-up then is like, do a lot of like what we consider well-known, well-established actors come to you because they just want to be better and grow? Would we be shocked by how many people have come to you, or?
I think you'd be like, oh, I think there are people you're like, oh, I didn't know they coach.
Sure.
You know, I didn't know that they are seeking guidance or counsel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think it's but then you also watch certain people, you're like, wow, you should have been coached and you should have been counseled. No, I'm serious about that.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, I've had the good fortune of working on some shows for the last few years, you know, where I'm like being hired by the studio to coach the actors and then sometimes going to set. And it just shows you people who are already booked the job are needing help. So I think sometimes people have an idea. I feel like almost a lot of the actors you love, look, you're watching a product, right, that's been edited.
Yep.
You know what I mean? You have no idea the takes it took to get there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not like, take one, we did it. It's curated. But anyway, I think we also forget, though, that, like, you know, like I was listening to Joaquin Phoenix talking. He is not a client, but I was listening to Joaquin Phoenix talk about taking on the Joker. He had 5-6 months to get ready for it. Mm. You know what I mean? That makes things easier.
Yeah.
You know?
It's very different.
What's that?
That's very different.
It's very different than a one-day turnaround.
Do a lot of people come to you, though, when they're like sort of having a moment of crisis? Like you mentioned the girl earlier where she's like, I'm feeling small right now.
Yes.
Like, is it more that, or do a lot of people just come to you consistently because it's more when they're having trouble?
No, they come to me consistently just getting ready for an audition or they booked a role.
Okay. It's a mix.
What's that? It's a big mix.
Yeah.
But certainly I find that I've had to do, this last, whenever the strike ended to now, I've certainly have been a little bit more of a shoulder, you know, not a shoulder to cry on.
You're a therapist in a weird way.
Yeah, look, I get it. I'm not, it sucks when it can be a little deflating when you're just watching. I'll give you an example. One of my clients was, who's so fucking good and been a series regular, you know, for lead of a show for a few years, was testing for something, was told she was the top choice by the director. And then tests went really well. And then it was said that the showrunner would just like to explore some more options.
Oh.
That's not terrible, but I promise you that wouldn't have happened 4 years ago.
Sure.
Because we would have been in the middle of a regular pilot season. There would have been a lot of volume going on.
Right.
You grab her really quick and move forward. Yeah. But now they're like, well, there's nothing really going, you know.
We got time.
We don't have time. We're not about to lose her because we know everything that's been cast.
Yeah.
And that's a little deflating. Definitely. You know what I mean? Where you're like, come on, just grab her off the shelf.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So I think stories like that.
Yeah. That happened to me recently. I booked my first TV gig. It was on Kimmel, and then it got cut.
No.
Yeah, and it was like, Classic.
Was that your first TV gig?
First TV gig, yeah.
Mazel tov.
Thank you.
How'd it feel?
It was great. I had so much fun. It happened really quick, but yeah, it was really fun.
There's a woman in my Thursday, Holly. Do you know Holly? She does like skits for Kimmel.
Maybe. Stormberger does a lot, or used to do a lot of those.
Does he?
Sketches, yeah.
Oh.
What got you into teaching in the first place? You were working steadily. You have some amazing, TV show credit. Oh, that was a weird face.
No. What got me into teaching?
Yeah, why did you pivot from acting to teaching in the first place?
Well, it wasn't initially intentional. It was it was just a really enjoyable side hustle.
Oh.
Like why not? I mean, it was making me a better actor. When I was coaching, it would help itself. And I will admit, my brain, I struggled as an actor with the waiting, and I was really, I didn't surround myself with the right people. I should have been hanging out with people that would told me to shut up and fuck off. No, really. It's because sometimes I got to a point where things were going really well, and that's actually where I screwed it up. Because, at one point I wasn't getting an audition I didn't have an audition for a little while after, and I got really impatient with my reps, and my reps were great and lovely, and I talked to them like, it's fine. You're doing great. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I fired them.
Oh.
Oh no. Out of really bad advice. Really bad. Can I tell you the worst thing?
Yeah, tell us.
I don't want to say this. I don't want to say her name.
Okay.
But she was a teacher, and she said, you're not going to believe it. She goes, you should leave them.
Oh, we know who it is.
What's that?
We know who it is.
Well, let's not say, I don't want to say it. No, but you say, you should leave them. And I said, oh, okay. And I did. And then 2 months later, she comes up to me. She's like, I know who you should sign with. And I go, who? And she mentioned the agent. She told me to leave.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh.
My soul dropped.
And that was kind of the end of your acting, or was that
No, I kept
beginning?
I kept it going.
Okay,
then what I did was, because of the uncertainty of acting, I think it's going back to what you said, things you can control.
Yeah.
Versus things you can't.
Right.
And then I just started to say yes to every coaching, and and I started teaching, and it was and I will say, I used to say yes to every, like a short film that someone wanted me to do.
Oh, right.
And I used to say yes to so much stuff. That's how I got to be working, was in New York after grad school. Yes, I'll do this off Broadway play. Yes, I will do that play. Yes, I will do this movie. I don't even care if it's good at this point. I'm just trying to get real footage. Yes. You want me to be part of this reading? Be part of this workshop? Came to LA, did that, said yes. But then when I started working, I started having an expectation. I started loving it conditionally. Like, you know what I even said no to? You're not going to believe what I said no. I was teaching, this is what a schmuck I was. I was teaching Mary Elizabeth Ellis,
Yep.
Charlie Day's wife.
Yep.
And Charlie Day, this is It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. And Charlie, a lovely guy.
Yeah.
And at one point, he's like, we're about to make a pilot. I'd love you to be involved. And I had a thought of, yeah, right.
Oh, no.
If he had asked me 4 years ago, I would have gone, like, I'll be at your place tomorrow.
Yeah.
That turned it into
That
It's
would have
Always
been
Sunny in Philadelphia.
a crazy butterfly effect.
But it was just, it shows you where I was. It shows you where I was. I mean, he wasn't saying he wanted to be a star in it, but to be a part of it. But look at him, like David Hornsby and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's just...
and you were on it later, like an episode, weren't you?
I was. And
That's
the funny
great.
thing, I was so embarrassed when I got the audition that I didn't even call him to tell him I was auditioning for it.
Oh, funny. I
didn't even
assumed
tell
they would have
Mary
called
Elizabeth.
you in.
So when I got it, I was like, okay, good. I mean, that's nice, but I didn't want to use my thing because I was embarrassed about my reaction. But that was really just fear-based because
So wait, why did you say no? You were just in a headspace where you were like, I shouldn't be.
I can't, like, I've arrived. I'm not doing any more free things. I'm not doing it but that's bullshit.
Yeah.
That's like, it's like, you know why I should do it? Like the Mark Duplass thing. Do it to create. Do it to find your tribe. Do it because you love acting. And I think that's going back to I was starting to treat it like a business, which it is, but I was forgetting that it's also play.
Yeah.
And I was forgetting, and I always enjoyed it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was just and that's why I'm always trying to help my people, my actors, just go like create to create.
Agreed. So leaving acting and teaching, was it more of like a slow where you started taking on more things and doing less auditions, or was it like a conscious decision?
I think it's
like, I'm gonna be teach now. I'm
the way I kind of put it is like, like in life where like you're planting seeds all over the place.
I'm trying. Yeah.
I know. Well, you're planting them. I'm not saying they're going to grow, but you're planting them. No, it's true. You plant seeds and you don't fucking know.
Yeah.
But just don't. I think often you're planting seeds and then one day you look around like, oh shit, that yielded fruit.
Yeah.
Some will wither and die. But that is too often though. People want to plant one seed and they stare at it.
Yeah. That's so funny. Yes, you're right.
Grow. How come you're not growing? You're the only seed I've planted. I've never done this voice. This is called Overly Tired. But I think that's what they do. And I think for me, I was able to delude myself because I had planted so many seeds over the years to where initially opportunities were still coming in.
Sure.
And I book a job here, book a job there. But then eventually, the seeds I was planting was in coaching and teaching. Right. I was planting them all over and investing so much heart and soul into it. And saying no to plays and saying no. Like I want this is embarrassing. I won a Best Actor award for one act for the LA Weekly Award.
Wow.
I don't remember what year it was. And I had a thought of like, well, I'm not doing that again. Why would I not do it again? Like, I'm done with the free.
You're retiring on top.
I'm retiring on top.
The John Elway of free plays.
But it was, again, that I don't recommend anyone be like me in that regard. Like, please don't be like me. Keep on saying yes. Keep on saying yes. Love, like saying love. But then what I know, so eventually you just started to notice that all the fruit that my seeds had,
bared,
eventually shriveled, you know what I mean? And I had to but the teaching was really doing it. Yeah. So it kind of went into if you look
shifted,
at it, completely, the pendulum.
Where are you at now? Like if somebody asked you to audition for like a big TV show, would you? When was the last audition you had?
I haven't had an audition in a long time.
But if somebody asked you, would you?
I might. If it would have to be something that I'm like, yes, this is something I would really like to do.
Yeah.
It would have to attract me.
Sure. If somebody offered you a part, you would take it or no?
What is it?
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
If like a student offered you a part in like their film, would you do that?
Who's the student?
Okay. All right. I see. I got it.
Yeah, I'm not just going to say yes.
Okay.
It's got to be. I did something for a short film festival.
Oh, nice.
Someone asked me to be in it. They said that they could come to my house and film me for like 4 minutes for a shot.
Yeah.
I was like, hell yeah, but I love them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think I did a thing recently. I gave a speech I did a conference.
Wow.
I had never done something like that. So to non-actors. I went up to Napa and I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed that. I think that's why I started a podcast too.
Sure.
I do like new things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I took up pickleball with my son. Seriously, it's fun. Like new information in my brain is always good. So if you gave me I'd want the role to be something new.
Yeah. Pickleball dad.
Oh God, let me play a pickleball dad. Can I say one thing?
Please.
There's I have a client in my Thursday night class who you can't not love this person. Her name is Victoria. But she has a love of pickles.
Okay.
Truly loves.
Is the Victoria I know that was in class?
What? Victoria? No.
Oh.
No, impossible.
Okay.
But she loves. Do you know anything about pickles? She was telling us last night, Gorf, I don't know, they're in the store. But she loves pickles, and her dream has always been to be like the face of a pickle company.
Okay.
So she started taking pictures of herself like in a pickle outfit and doing all this. And a huge pickle company started liking her stuff and then started interacting with her and then actually just sent her a whole bunch of swag, for this stuff. And like, it's going to go. But what I loved is she's doing that just because it brings her joy.
Yeah.
And look at what it's manifested.
Right.
And when I talk about acting, if you actually love it and treat it with love, I'm somewhat unconditionally, eventually it's going to love you back.
Yeah.
But if you love it very, as kind of like in a, when you're in a relationship with someone who you're on and off.
Yeah.
I'm on and off. No, I'm dating other people. Now, I'm dating other people now. No, they went away. We had a fight last night. Now we got into an argument. He was upset. She was upset. Whatever it is, that's not going to lead to something healthy.
Right.
But I just think eventually you're going to get that gig. You know what I mean? And what I ended up doing when I think about my relationship with acting, what I did as an actor is we had a really good relationship. And then I went crazy.
Oh, interesting.
Meaning I decided it wasn't treating me well.
Sure.
Where the truth is I wasn't treating it well by not staying with it and loving it and saying yes and being out there in the world.
Yeah.
That's what got me at least where I arrived to. And I bailed out even though I didn't know I was bailing out.
Yeah.
But if I do an autopsy of my acting career, not that it's dead, but if I do an autopsy of it, it was because I just didn't show up for it the way I had been. Yeah. Yeah. And I was happier. I had a better relationship with it when I was showing up. It was so much more fun. When I left it behind, I was like, oh, I can return to you when I want to. You create stories for yourself.
Yeah.
I can come back when I want to. That's kind of like I can go on that diet in next month. I'll stop drinking. I'll stop drinking next week. I'm really going to stop eating chips one day. Anything you talk about, like, I will. No, do it now.
Yeah. Can I ask you a random question? You've mentioned like who is it for? What's it for? Or it's work if it's a bad show. How many people? And this is an interesting question now as I'm thinking about it.
But also watching a bad show can also help me go, ooh.
Sure.
Sometimes I need to help people be on a bad show.
Sure.
So then I'm like, your acting's too good here.
Sure. But my question is like, that's funny.
No, but seriously.
It makes sense.
It's too grounded.
Yeah.
It's too truthful and honest.
Yeah. My question is like, how often, and this is a tricky problem for you probably because you need people to come to your class, but how often do you turn away people from your class? Like there's so many actors and there's so many bad actors and people that are sort of being that bad boyfriend with the acting and just want results rather than the work and all this. Like, so I guess my broad question is how many people have you turned away from your class? And has that been tricky at times when in the lean months, I guess?
That's a really good question. I'm turning away is a weird word. I will not encourage them to take class.
That's so weird semantics, but okay.
No, but what will happen, I'll be like, listen, I don't think you're ready for class.
Sure, yeah.
I'll say, you're free to do one-on-ones with one of my coaches.
Yeah.
Or I'll just say, listen, I don't think this is what you need right now.
Oh, wow, you're that blunt.
No, I'll be like, you need to learn how to be you need a stage class.
Yeah.
You should go take I seriously, I'll say, go to Santa Monica College and take a theater course. You know what I mean? Or go here. It's like, even I'll say, or just start trying to audition for a play. But because I think that what we're teaching right now is talk about cart before the horse. Like you're not going to be able to integrate anything we're saying right now.
Right.
You need to learn. Like you need to be on. Like literally be a lion on stage. You need to scream and be willing to look like an idiot somewhere. You know, mess around, vocal exercises, games, do all that stuff. Or if I think that someone's like mentally unhealthy, you know, that's where that's a different kind of
How
thing.
often does that happen, though? It
doesn't happen often.
Okay.
It doesn't happen often, but it happens. And it's never, you feel for them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You feel for them. You try to have empathy for them. And, you know, it's always on a case-by-case basis.
Yeah. Real quick before I get to my last question, selfishly I want to ask, I audition for co-stars all the time.
Yeah.
What's your advice for co-star auditions?
Man.
And I'm told I'm not even supposed to ask this question. I'm just supposed to be interested in people, but I feel like somebody told me recently I'm asking casting directors the wrong question, what I should do in a co-star audition.
No, because it's different. There's so many variations.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't, the reason it's not a great question.
Thanks.
The reason it's not a great question is.
It's a tough question.
No, there's so many variables.
Yeah.
I mean, so often co-stars are really guest stars and they're just saving money.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if you know Kayvon. Remember Kayvon always? He's a lovely actor client of mine. I remember he did a guest star, and it was like he was crying in it. There was a full arc. It was 6 pages, and I'm like, how the fuck is this a co-star? And they save money. I'm not going to say which show.
Okay.
But I did a thing years ago. Not going to say which one. But I auditioned. It was like 4 scenes, big arc, main storyline. I auditioned, and the casting director was a friend of mine and called me up personally and said, so listen, they want you, but we're having a budget thing. Because this is when it was AFTRA, not SAG-AFTRA.
Yeah.
It's an AFTRA. She's like, the thing about AFTRA is if we call it a guest star, we're going to have to pay you this. And if we don't call it anything, we can pay you this. She's like, of course you can put it on your resume as a guest star. But if you say no, I totally understand, but we will cast someone else.
Jeez. That's infuriating.
So I said, of course I'll take the job. No, but I was a little bummed. I was bummed though. It was how are you calling? So again, that happens. And then if it's like, you got to know the show. Sometimes you're literally just the waiter going, here you go, sir.
Yeah.
You know, and then if you do too much with it, you look like an asshole. You know, how are you literally serving how are you serving the storyline? How are you serving the characters? And what's the genre?
Yeah.
And often, sometimes in comedy, sometimes you are like, is it the kind of comedy where you will get the funny, or is it just setting up someone else's funny?
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll be the one who's the funny. So then you have to be a master of text.
That's a great answer.
Okay.
Very succinct.
It wasn't that succinct.
Yeah, you kind of ballooned out there for a second, but then you brought it back.
I brought it back. That's good.
All right, my last question is, who took a chance on you?
Who took a chance on me?
I find that it's helpful to have somebody that takes a chance on you in this business, so I'm just curious who took a chance on you.
That's a great question.
Thank you.
My grad school program.
Oh, yeah.
Letting me in.
In North Carolina, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny because the person who took a chance on me, I also think is a horrible human being, but, no, that's overstating. I think a troubled human being. Let me be clear. Not horrible. I want to take that back, but very troubled, and taught me, but helped me by being troubled in some ways by teaching me what not to be. But another person who let me in, part of that group, is one of my favorite human beings in the entire world, who really taught me so much about acting. Her name was Nancy Lane. She was
awesome.
She's a gorgeous human being. You know, talk about someone who observes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And she was highly responsible for letting me. So they took a big chance because was I good? I was young. I was 22. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Me getting into a top 5 grad school back then, I thought was, I believed I could do it.
Yeah.
But looking back on it, I'm shocked they said yes.
That's awesome though.
But I wouldn't be, there's no way I would know you. Right. If it were not for them taking a chance and letting me in 1999. 93.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so cool. What school was it again? It was North Carolina School of Arts or whatever?
Playmakers Repertory Company.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I don't know anything about grad schools anymore, though. It feels like I don't think they're as much in vogue as they were back in the day.
That makes sense, yeah.
It would make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Life is more accessible now. There's just so much more resources to find.
So much more. Yeah. And also, listen, theater's a beautiful thing. It's a gorgeous thing. Also a very difficult way to make a living.
Yeah, for sure.
And unless you want a life of that, like kind of like that, either a nomad life or like, hey, I'll get involved in a regional theater. I will live in Ashland or I'll live in, which is great. It can be if that's what you aspire to.
Oh yeah.
But that I think that takes that's a very unique soul. And it's a very unique human who literally is like, I already know I want that life, and that's what I deign to have.
Yeah, I think of a teacher I had in Minnesota, Ray Burke. He was like the bad guy in Naked Gun and stuff. He did a lot in LA, and now he just performs at the Guthrie, like 5 shows a year at the Guthrie cool? In Minneapolis. Yeah,
see, that's cool. And so did at least not the Guthrie. I remember what's her Kelly McGillis.
Oh yeah.
At the arena stage, I believe it was. Like she ended up doing that, which is great. But I will say, I remember when I went to grad school, this is what a schmuck I was. I'd watch we had a really talented repertory company, and I'd watch all these people who'd moved to North Carolina to teach and just do rep play after play, and my 22-year-old dumbass self was like, can't believe these people gave up.
Yeah.
And then I look at myself. I wish I could go to myself that, you know what I'm saying. Go to that guy, me at 22, and go, hey, idiot. They're doing what they love.
Yeah.
And they're teaching.
Yeah.
And they're living in Chapel Hill, North Carolina,
beautiful.
Which is a gorgeous place to live. That place is heaven.
Yeah.
And it made me realize, oh, wait, they got a great gig. And these are people who had been in New York and had done it. They elected to come down here.
Yes.
And decided, I want this life.
We have to destigmatize the idea of quote unquote giving up for sure, or quitting or whatever. Because but
there's no quitting. What? There's absolutely.
Yeah, my yoga teacher who I interviewed last week was an actor here for like 5 years, and she's like, it just got to be too much, and I wanted to help people, and I started yoga, and I'm like, hell yeah, you're helping me. Like, that's great.
Well, I will say, I think because I was at that age in acting where I still like kind of had this fantasy of becoming known.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And honestly, I will say about owning an acting studio, I just want to do what I love, and make a living doing what I love. The unfortunate thing is I do have to be known to do it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I hate self-promotion.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So at least if I am going to do self-promotion, I want to find a way that's actually at least like doesn't feel yucky to me.
Yeah. Like this podcast.
Like this. No, but honestly, like that's it. Like I want to feel authentic and real and at least enjoy the process.
Agreed. I love this. This was a great convo, John. It's good to see you again.
Great to see you.
Maybe I'll pop in a class here soon.
Oh, no.
Bust out the file on me that you got.
The dossier. Whoa. No, this was really fun. It was good seeing you.
Yeah, likewise. Tail Slate, you get to just close us out here.
Hi, I'm John Rosenfeld.
Still an actor. Look at that.
MTV and the Channel E. A thing for celebrity.
It's also being bald.